Howdy, howdy.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
It's good to be back.
yeah, right. Howdy, everyone. This is Christian Blaney's Cockpit. I'm here today with Viviane de Castro. If you haven't listened to the show before, it's just me, Christian Blaney, as the host, talking to, I guess, whoever I want and whoever will be on about whatever they want to talk about. Or it's just a conversation, nothing much more complicated. But if you want to just hear two people from college talking together, then tune in. I have other people on too, but today I got Vivi, and she's actually the first chick to come on to the show. So thank you very much.
Oh my
it's
God.
not just all guys.
Would love to apologize first for my hiccups. They came unannounced, so. Oh no.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. They'll be gone soon.
Yes. It's okay if they aren't. Honestly, like that.
Okay.
That'd just be a funny theme to go to go off of. So let's see. For people that might not know you, Vivi, what are some things that you're into that you might identify yourself with, or what's going on with you?
Okay, so I am a 20-year-old gal. My gosh, I'm turning 21 next week, so I'm really excited about that. I'm from New York City, so I grew up in Manhattan. I was born there, and I still live there to this day in the same apartment. Okay. So that's just going to be happening.
That's going to be happening. It's okay.
Both my parents are from Brazil, so I am first generation American with both my siblings as well. And I don't know, I guess I'm into a lot of things, honestly. I wouldn't call myself a very artistic person, but I really enjoy athletics, and I enjoy being outside, and I enjoy getting to know people, and just seeing what the world, like the beautiful thing that the world has to offer, I think. And I think that's something about my personality as well, is I'm bubbly and I'm outgoing, and I tend to like to see the good in everything. But I do have my ruts sometimes, so. I
mean, everyone does. No, I mean, like, you're a refreshing person to see around campus. I don't see you down all that often. I mean, everyone obviously has his times, but.
Yeah.
But I just. You seem like a light more than anything else, in just like a positive way.
God.
I got you, dude. So you say you want to understand the world better. What does the world mean to you so far? Because I know you've spent a fair amount of time in Brazil because you have family there, and the United States. But where else have you gone? And also, let me know something about Brazil, because that's starting to come into my life.
Really?
Well, yeah, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, yeah.
My dad used to do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, so basically all my family lives in Brazil, except for my parents and my siblings. So we're the only ones in America. We have a few in, like, Australia, but everyone else is in Brazil. And it's a very different culture than the United States. It's just a lot warmer. It's different when you approach someone. Here, when you meet someone, you shake their hand first, and you're like, hi, nice to meet you, and, like, shake their hand, right? In Brazil, you'd usually give them a kiss on the cheek or a hug or something. Like
European.
Yeah, something just warmer, not so cold. And so, like, sometimes I find that a little challenging here. Even though I was born here, I still have tendencies like Brazilians, because that's how I was raised at home. Like, I was raised speaking Portuguese at home. I mean, and some English, but, like, majority Portuguese. But I guess I do want to travel Brazil more. I mostly only go to the cities that my family's from, and so I don't really get the opportunity to, like.
Which city is that?
Both my parents. So all my family lives in Belo Horizonte, like, for the most part. It's like it's a mountain city.
Okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. It's really big. It's 5-hour drive from Rio, so it's in the, like, Rio's on the coast, and then you drive 5 hours in, and that's Belo Horizonte, I believe.
Cool.
And then I have my aunt that lives in Brasilia. And
is that another city?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
That's the capital of Brazil.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much it. Oh, I have a cousin that lives in Rio, so I've only been to Rio once.
Okay.
Which is funny, because everyone's like, oh, are you from Rio? Like, do you go to Rio? I'm like, no, I've only been there once.
Well, it's funny. That's like one of the only cities that
I know
we're taught about here in the U.S.
It's like when people ask me, do you go to Times Square in New York? I'm like, yes, I've been to Times Square.
That's kind of a place in my city. Yeah.
I've been to Mexico twice, and then I've been to Portugal, and I went to Portugal 2 summers ago. And that was my first time in Europe, and
How was that? Do they speak differently there? Like,
yeah, it's really interesting actually. So they speak obviously Portuguese.
Yeah.
Portuguese from Portugal, and then our Portuguese from Brazil. Portugal colonized Brazil. I believe I have that correct.
No, that's right. Yeah.
And it's a little different. I'd compare it to maybe the British or the English speaking English versus American speaking English. So there are some different words. If you go into like, farther in England or like the United Kingdom, like not London, like you'll find people that have very thick accents. So that's the same thing for Portugal. Like some people have lesser accents and some people are very strong. And so like, although I speak Portuguese fluently, I would catch myself being like what? Like, can you say that again? Like, I'm not really understanding. Is
it similar? Like, I think I've asked people who are Spanish speaking on the America side of things how Spaniards sound, and is it a similar? Is it more posh maybe, like an American accent compared to an English accent, or what? Like, what are the changes?
I wouldn't say it's posh. It's like the way they pronounce the word is different. So like, okay, just an example.
Sure.
So we say milk as leche, and they say it leite, like very like it's just like I don't even know. It's just very. The way they enunciate, it's like it could be spelled the same, but they just enunciate it.
They also use a T instead of a CH. Is that universal?
Well, ours is a T too. We always pronounce a T as a CH.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. It's always weird, like hearing about accents from languages that I don't really understand. So it's hard for me to really pick out what's going on there.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just really looking for words to try to fish out.
But then going back to your jiu-jitsu thing, so my dad started jiu-jitsu and I think I was like 8 or something. So
2008, yeah.
Yeah, so a while ago.
That was a good time for the sport.
Oh, excuse me. Swing the mic. So I would do gymnastics. That was like my childhood. And then my dad would pick me up on Fridays because my parents were divorced, so I'd go to my dad's house every other weekend. And so he'd pick me up from gymnastics, and then we'd go to the Gracie's studio, their gym.
Do you know which one? Henzo?
Yeah. I mean,
man, I'd love to train there.
I think it's 3 of them, though, the brothers. Or is it just 2 of them?
I don't know if there's 3 anymore. There's definitely 2 right now.
I think it wasn't just one of their gyms. It was like the Gracie gym. Like many of them.
It's probably Henzo's then.
Yeah. And so that's where my dad did jiu-jitsu. And so I would like sit on the little bench and like watch all these sweaty guys doing jiu-jitsu and I'd literally sit there like in awe. I'm saying, hey guys.
You never tried your hand at it?
No.
Really?
And I remember like after every excuse me. I remember after every like training session my dad had or practice, they would give out a new strip, I guess, because instead of getting belts, you get 3 strips on
stripes.
The
Yeah, they're like degrees.
Yeah, before you get a new color. And so I just remember, like, I think my dad only got to purple.
That's still really high. Like, if you make it to purple, you're way closer to black belt than white belt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He, like, definitely knows what he's doing. Like, he'll, obviously, like, if he needs to do something to someone, he will.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of physical confidence.
He used to teach us like the triangle when we were little and like all that stuff. But he stopped because he had to have hip surgery and it just messing up his body. I mean, he's 53 years old. Yeah. So, he's not that young.
It's tough to do it for a really long time. Although, like, if you really try to keep up with yourself, you can do it maybe until you're 60 consistently. But there's these crazy, like, old Brazilian guys who've been in the sport forever that are still totally healthy, just doing it fast paced, like 72 years old.
I bet. Yeah.
The guy I'm thinking of, yeah. That's cool. But it's weird. Do you feel this? I feel like Brazil is just coming into the world more than even it was 5 years ago. I don't know. It's possible because of my recent involvement in martial arts. It's possible, but I feel like in other areas, it just feels like Brazil's becoming more of a thing in sports and technology.
Yeah. I don't keep up, honestly, a lot with just the economics of Brazil, the politics, all of that stuff. My family gets into huge political arguments about Brazil.
Yeah, even though they don't live there, or your Brazilian family?
My Brazilian family.
Okay.
it would basically be, even my parents,
Yeah.
it'd basically be like in comparison to like Biden and Trump.
Gotcha.
Like, complete split down the middle.
Really?
Like half and half.
So the political split is
So
the same thing.
Yeah, so I have like a bunch of people in my family that hate the president. I have a bunch of people that love him. And he's very like military driven. And so a lot of my people in my family that are like, and it helps upper class. And so it's funny, like a lot of my family that are in the upper class in Brazil obviously really like him.
Yeah, sure.
And so it's just really, like, I don't know. I honestly don't know much about anything. I just know that in our family group chat on WhatsApp, like, people leave the group chat all the time because
Really?
of political arguments. And it's like really, it's just too much. But
Yeah, it's tough.
yeah, Brazil has been really having a hard time with corruption and, you know, just the government. Like, there's a lot of poverty in Brazil. It's interesting because honestly, like, I live a very luxurious life when I go to Brazil because of my family, like because of my extended family.
Yeah, because they have money or because you're treating it like a vacation?
Because they have money.
Gotcha.
And I guess I treat it like a vacation.
Yeah,
but
true.
like,
you can do a little bit of both.
But I don't know if I'd ever want to live there, honestly. And like, and it's not because of like my parents that will be, like, treat it like this amazing thing. It's like the people in my family, just like some of them are wealthier than others, and so I'm like, I don't even get to see it firsthand. Like, I think, okay, so sorry,
No, go ahead.
lost my train of thought. But like, the difference I think of Brazil and the United States, or Brazil and living in a wealthy community in the United States, is that no matter if you're in a wealthy community in Brazil, unless it's like gated or something, like, you still experience firsthand poverty. Like, you still, like, they're everywhere. And like, it can be really dangerous too. Or like, you'll be living on like one side of the street and it's like beautiful apartment buildings, and then the other side it's a favela, which is like, you know, the poorest place to live in Brazil.
I actually didn't know that. That's a good word to my vocabulary.
If you search it, Brazilian favela, you'll see what it looks like.
I'll check that out after the show then.
And so I think in the United States, unless you're like in New York or in Chicago or in Colorado or those cities, like a city, you'll see like homeless people, or else like you really don't experience, I feel like, poverty here if you're not in it.
Yeah, it's
and
a lot easier.
There, it's very apparent.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to shield yourself from it. But one exception, I think, is living in a big city, like you do.
Yes.
So I don't know your financial background, but you live in the city, and I feel like at that point it doesn't even matter.
No, yeah. In my area, it's because I don't even live on a number street, so I live downtown in Battery Park City. It's a very like family area. Okay. And
is it a house or an apartment?
It's oh my gosh, these hiccups. Okay, guys,
what did you
count
eat?
Every
did you have
time
breakfast?
The minute I sipped this seltzer water, I got hiccups.
Really?
Yeah, you're lucky. Usually they're like out of control. Like, I'm like wailing.
Well, I'm glad that they're not too crazy.
They're like behaved.
I can very much understand you.
But so yeah, I live in like a very family neighborhood in New York, and like you really don't see like homeless people. Like,
you don't?
No, not where
It's not like LA right now?
Well, I mean, you see homeless people in New York, don't get me wrong. It's more on the subway now because of the pandemic.
Are they chilling out there?
Because it was so cold and like they didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
And like, I think the shelters were completely full. But there's this one guy actually in front of Whole Foods, which is the only supermarket near us. And so
that's a good supermarket to have near you, honestly.
I know. But it's very expensive.
I know.
I mean, that's just kind of what you get with the price of living in New York.
Yeah.
But there's like this one homeless man, and he's been sitting on this. Oh my God! He's been sitting on this crate since March of the pandemic, or April, I think. And
just sitting on the same box.
Yeah, like on this like little crate, like in front of Whole Foods.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure he's probably switched out his box. I don't know. But like
switched out his box.
Yeah. I don't know.
Man.
But he's still there till this day when I come home for break. And it like, but I think he enjoys sitting there because so many people give him stuff there.
Uh,
And Whole Foods gives him a lot of food. Because I'm always wondering, I'm like, don't you have, like, a shelter to go to? Or, like, isn't there something that you can be doing? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, an issue with a lot of homeless shelters is that they don't let you do drugs in the homeless center. Even if
That
it's
could be
weed,
a
they
problem.
ban pretty much everything that's federally illegal.
wow.
Like, I'm a proponent of decriminalizing everything. That's my personal stance on that. And like,
You mean making it legal?
not necessarily, just
to
decriminalizing
smoke?
it. Just decriminalizing all drugs. I don't think people should be put into jail for non-violent drug offenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if it's like heroin?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I don't
Mhm.
really know what I think about that.
It's okay. Yeah. No, I've had some time to form my opinion, but yeah. So that's the main issue. It's just that there's some. I don't know about New York, but there's some states that don't let you have a homeless shelter that
Mhm.
allows people doing drugs
That's
because then
very
you're
interesting.
kind of supporting something that's
Right.
federally legal.
Right, yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like one of the days, I don't remember when it was. I think it was over the summer. But I kind of like made him like a brown like lunch, like those brown bagged lunches.
Oh, yeah.
And interesting enough, like I printed him an article from the Christian Science Journal or
Mhm.
the Christian, Sentinel, and it was about lack, and like I gave it to him, and I like gave him other snacks and stuff like that, and like when I was walking away and I turned around to see if he like opened it, and he was reading the article, and it just like completely made me cry because I was like, because I knew what was on that piece of paper and like the healing words that were on that paper.
Mm.
And I mean, obviously it was up to him if he wanted to really like
Sure.
read it and take it in. But it was just, yeah, that was a really cool experience.
Yeah. What's your relationship with Christian Science? I don't talk too much about that.
I really love it.
Mm.
So I didn't really practice very much like until freshman year of college. Like it was there, like
Yeah.
raised in it, and like it was there.
It was in your head.
But it was
Yeah.
never something that I read the lesson of, or I did these, you know what I mean? Like I never really practiced or wanted to work with a practitioner or anything. And I was just having some experiences, and I was just having some challenges. And it was challenges that like I didn't want to deal with through anything else. And I didn't really understand what was going on. It was more like mental challenges. And so I worked with Christian Science like consistently for the past 2 years. And like I've seen healing effects in everything that I've been doing. And like that's why I really enjoy it now, is because I've really studied it and like have gotten into it. Because it's really hard not to understand. It's really hard to understand it. And things that are so absolute, I think.
Mm.
Like absolute statements, like whatever it may be. And so the more I read Mrs. Eddy's her writings, the more I, studied the Bible, the more I'm wanting to study it more, but like the more I just did work for it, then the clearer it became in my thought of what it really was. And it wasn't anyone else telling me to do it. It wasn't, because like I've had people my whole entire life tell me to read the lesson, and my mom would always leave the lesson open for me to read it before school. And middle school, never read it once.
Yeah.
Like I'd leave it there. I would hate going to church, so like Principia would put it on me in high school, the boarding school we both went to.
Yeah.
And so like it's pushed on us, but like if you really don't want it for yourself, then it's never really going to click. And so like I really wanted it for myself, because I was like, I can't live like this. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like now I'm saying like I can't live like this, but like it wasn't that big of a deal. Like at the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
sure.
things don't seem like a huge deal now, but it was something that I was really struggling with, and so that's where I'm at now.
Yeah. What kind of comfort does it bring to you? Like in what section of life? Like you're in physical existence,
Yeah.
your relationship with the universe, like what's happening with that?
I think it's just learning how to live from a limitless perspective, because I think it's really easy to go into this world and be like, okay, well, you're a woman, so you have to be sensitive, you have to feel unprotected, you have to feel like this. Maybe if you're a teenager, you have to go through depression. Maybe if you're on your period, you have to have cramps. If you're doing this, you have to be sad.
Yeah.
If you're, you know what I mean? Like, there are so many things that the world tells you that you have to be because of norms.
Mm-hmm.
And Christian Science teaches you that that's not the reality of our being,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
Okay.
like, just a simple line is like, God's being is infinity, harmony, freedom, and boundless bliss. So, like, boundless bliss, right, is just like perfect happiness, pretty much, or boundless, like ongoing infinite happiness.
Sure.
And so thinking about that, like, man being like us, being God's reflection. So if God's being are all those things, and so are we, and like those ideas of freedom, and like our divine right is to be free from these challenges, or is to be free from world belief about these things. And so, like, it's very, I think it's daunting going into this world without faith in anything.
Yeah,
or
without a lifeboat.
without a higher power in thought, whatever it may be. And then you find yourself asking questions of like, why? But like starting it from the standpoint of like, this is, it's God created the heaven and the earth, and like, behold, it was very good.
Yeah.
So I think like that's where I use it the most. And like, the more I've studied Christian Science and the more I love it and enjoy it, the more I've started using it in everything. So like when someone randomly like gets annoyed about something, or like feels like they don't have enough time, or gets an injury, like my first thought is Christian Science. And like, it's never been that before.
Gotcha.
Because that's just like the way I think.
Is this just the past year, 2 years?
Yeah, the past 2 years, since the end of my freshman year.
Yeah.
And so like, that's just like what it is. And like,
I'm glad it's clicking for you.
Yeah.
It's tough. It didn't click for me. It doesn't totally make sense to me. I'm not all the way on board, but it's I understand the function of religion for a lot of people is for comfort and for understanding.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
I think like, I don't really know, like, how do you when you're like kind of in the dumps, or like maybe not feeling well, or like, what do you kind of like think, like, what do you do? What do you think about
if I'm sad, or if I like have hurt myself?
If you're sad, if you're in pain, like anything, if you're struggling, just anything.
Yeah, it's different depending on the situation. Like if it's I'm sad because I'm overthinking things, I'll just try to figure out, like, I'll just try to rationalize the situation. I don't really I think I have a pretty good control over like what's going on in my head.
Yeah, that's good.
So I don't I don't psych myself out too easy. And if I feel like there's something that just doesn't make sense in my head, I'll talk to someone else about it. I'll be like, hey, does this like thought process make sense? And they're like, yeah, you'll probably be good. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
If I've hurt myself, it depends on what I hurt my, like for example, I hurt my hamstring the other day. Like I was doing a high kick, and I like pulled my hamstring because I just went further and harder than I should have.
Maybe you didn't warm up.
I did warm up. It was just a little further and harder than I should have. But so I also was stretching a lot, so I just might have been weakened from that. There's a lot of things I could chalk it up to, but pretty much I'm just resting. I'm okay, because many of the Christian Science healings that I've had personally have just been healings that could have occurred in that normal amount of time that the human body takes to heal. So I know that I heal fast, and I'm comfortable with that. But
So with that, like, so you were raised in Christian Science?
Yeah, I was raised in Christian Science.
Are both your parents? Yes.
No, just my mom is.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, my dad's mom practiced it for a little bit before she passed, but I mean.
Yeah, my mom is. My dad isn't. So like, although obviously like, you don't connect yourself with Christian Science anymore, or you don't like necessarily call yourself one, but like, do you think in situations like sometimes like the principles of it will come to your thought? Because I feel like I've felt that with a lot of people that have left science, like the not just like simple truths of it, you know what I mean? Like just the idea of like mind over matter, or just like
I don't know. I don't think you need to be a Christian to follow that kind of of
right,
logic,
but I'm saying
though.
like the principles from Christian Science of being like no, like or even with fear, like fear is literally not real. or not, but you know what I mean? Like,
well, fear is the root of everything bad.
like fear,
in my
like
opinion.
false evidence appearing real. That's what I mean.
Gotcha.
Or I don't know. Do you ever find yourself going back to those principles of Christian Science, or it's just something that you really just kind of done?
No, it's. I think there's a lot of like in all religions, there's a lot of good ideas, and the way I kind of see it. I'm a history major. I've done some work on religion historically, and a lot of it stuck on because there were things that humans needed to do to get further on in a civilized society, and so in my opinion, they were a religion was kind of like training wheels, to make sure you're kind of doing the right thing, you're not murdering anyone.
Like the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, people have got lost on the way. Like, for example, in Romans, it does say a man lying with another man is an abomination, which isn't, in my opinion, anywhere near the truth. So it's like there's these really good ideas like loving your brother. I follow the Matthew Code all the time. That's my main way of sorting out issues, even though it's from the Bible. So there's some principles that I stick with. There's some that just don't work for me anymore.
And maybe you will find yourself back in it, maybe you won't.
It's possible.
But whatever.
Yeah. I can't tell you what the future's gonna be like.
Yeah, whatever kind of floats your boat.
Sure.
Whatever keeps you going.
Also, I watched like a little too much Christopher Hitchens in high school.
I don't even know who that is.
He's an author and a columnist, really prevalent in like the 90s and probably early 2000s. Okay. And he was just a proponent of, or an opponent of religion in general. And he was very, very intelligent. So I was like, dang, a little too much of this is making sense.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes, though. Something that I wanted to go back to was the political divide in Brazil and how you can see it kind of being similar in the U.S. Do you think there's other countries that are having the exact same thing? And could one of those issues, could these issues pretty much all be tied back to social media? Like, what do you think?
I mean, I know Cuba has had their issues with their government. I'm not really sure what it's been since Fidel Castro passed away.
It kind of all strings back to them. Did you say my brother?
Yeah.
Why? Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. We have the same last name.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Because so De Castro, so D of Castro. That's why. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know if it's social media per se. It could be. I mean, I know social media definitely is a no-no sometimes, and it can be very negative. Yeah. And it shines light on the wrong things, I think, sometimes. But I think a big thing is just this idea of power and wealth. And everyone wants money and everyone wants power, and they'll do anything to get it. Was
this different? Just a couple, like in the 60s, for example, we were able to trust in news sources to be more or less non-biased.
I don't know. I mean, I'm talking about not social media. I'm talking about just the people of power that have power. Like, in a way, like, obviously, like, when you're rich, you want to be richer. Like, the rich want to get richer.
So they're creating this political divide?
I'm just what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what the answer is to that. But just from a person that isn't in the lower class or the upper class, feeling like that everyone just wants power, and like that can like be, I think, an issue sometimes.
Yeah.
To want an extreme amount of power.
Yeah, one thing that I liked about Bernie Sanders when he was running for president twice and cheated out of the presidency twice was that I don't think he was going for power as much. All of the highlights from either intergovernmental processes or rallies or just acts of kindness that I've seen him doing. It just didn't seem that was the direction that he was going. Maybe money, but he got enough from his book deal.
Yeah, no, that's...
So, yeah.
But I think that's the issue definitely in Brazil. Because, like...
So there's not too many Bernie Sanders in Brazil.
No, like this might be me... honest to God, I don't know that much about the politics in Brazil.
Yeah.
But what I can see a little bit, I think, is like that, like the poor, they're going to stay poor and no one's going to be helping them with whatever's happening. Because they're having like huge, like they're literally having tanks go into like the favelas because the issue is a lot of like drug dealers are I'm going to say bad guys of the movie. They're running the favela, and then they pay like the water supply. They pay these things so that these innocent people, the like actually really poor ones who live under them, kind of, they see them as good people, and so they keep them safe.
Oh, so it's the mob.
Yeah,
that's how the mob worked.
Yes. Yeah. And so, like, when I was in Rio, you see these tanks going into the favelas, like literal tanks.
What are they going to do with the tank?
I don't know. Like, it's ridiculous. They don't shoot anything up. You know what I mean? Like, they're not firing anything, but they go in with those tanks.
Sure.
And so I feel like there's just a huge issue that with the security and with the poverty that somehow needs to be changed. I don't know how, but it hasn't been in these past years I've been alive.
Yeah.
And then the rich will stay rich. And, like, that's what I've seen. So,
at least in America, because you're a little more tuned up on American politics or economics at the very least, there's probably a similar thing going on where the rich stay rich, the poor stay poor. It's weird because being poor is probably, like, in my opinion, the number 2 biggest like motivator to be rich. Like, there's just tons and tons and tons of rich people that started poor, and then the number 1 motivator of being rich is being rich. So, like, do you think there's a way to turn that around, or another way that we could see society, or what basic structures do we need to change to make that happen?
Honestly, like, and then of course we can differ on what we think. Like, that's totally fine.
Totally.
But I think that a lot of people, like, you know, I think, yes, there is opportunity. I think that ultimately, if you really want to get out of it, you can. And there have been so many stories of people like that doing that kind of stuff. But something that I think I still, like, think about is that not everyone, I think, has a fair opportunity to get to that place, though.
That is true, yeah.
And 100%. So, and I think we've agreed on that, on this idea of, like, systemic racism.
I think anyone would if they understood how our economics worked.
No, I know people that are like, every single person in this world or in this country has the exact same opportunity, and, like,
the exact same opportunity,
and is, like, equal. And I was like, okay, let's just backtrack.
After the show, you got to tell me who that is. That's crazy.
LOL, I think I'm I can't say that. Yeah. But it's like, no.
Well, that doesn't make sense. If you don't have money to start out with, you have a much harder time affording education as compared to someone with money being able to afford better education.
Yep.
Obviously, there's a way to budget that, and there's lots of grants, but in the end of things, in a lot of places in the United States, there's not opportunity, as we just said, for those kind of things. I mean,
do you know what redlining is?
Redlining, is that like what they did in St. Louis?
Yeah, basically, but, like, putting in, like, people of color in, like, the worst areas. Yeah, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And it was, it was illegal. I don't remember what year it was. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. People will be like, redlining, you can't do that anymore. I'm like, just because you can't do it doesn't mean you don't do it. Yeah. Like, hello, you're not supposed to drink till you're 21. I'm pretty sure people drink. You know what I mean?
Crazy how that is. It's almost like the drug war has failed.
So I'm saying, like, don't be naive. And just because there's a law in place saying that you can't do this doesn't mean it doesn't go on. And it's also subconsciously, too, or unconscious. Like, I think we all have those, because of how America has, I think, instilled this idea of people of color, white people, Asian people. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, Asian people are always smart. When you see a black person on the street at night, you get scared. A black male, usually. And so I don't think that, but subconsciously, because of what the world has, or because of what, like, our society says, like, that is ingrained in people's heads, unfortunately.
Do you think that's going to leave with our generation?
I think it's beginning to.
I think so too.
And I think that's what we're here for. I think we're here to see the problem and to change the problem. And that's when I talked about in Turning Point, I was like, it begins with everyone acknowledging that something needs to change.
Yeah.
And I think that's
fair.
like the first step. And so like with the idea of opportunity, like of course in some areas, like the education system in some places are horrible compared to other places. And like that's just what it is. So
Public
like,
education systems, yeah.
Exactly. And so to say like everyone has a fair opportunity in this country is BS.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's just a reality of it. And I think we're coming to change that because we're acknowledging that that's not what life is supposed to be like.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you want to find one way to turn it around is to stop nonviolent drug offenses. I mean, like if you're busted for selling weed out of the back of your truck and you have like 3 pounds worth of it, you're probably going to go to jail for a little bit. And that's going to fuck up your record for a while, which is going to make it way harder for you to provide for your family that you may or may not have like a conjoined one. So it's just like that throws so many more sticks in your tires. It's just
definitely
unnecessary.
I think like that's a first step. But then something else to think about, like, unfortunately, how the things work, like, tell me if you agree with this, but,
Sure.
like, a white man is caught with marijuana in a state that's illegal. A black man is caught with marijuana. Do you think that their charges are going to be the same? Sometimes,
the
maybe.
thing is, it's possible.
Possibly.
My issue with that is I don't have any personal experience with that.
Yeah,
I don't have enough black friends, honestly, to measure it.
I've seen it. I've seen that, like, from my black friends that have told me. And that's the thing is that, like, they're like afraid of cops or in their neighborhood. And it doesn't mean that all cops are like that. And I am one to vouch for that because I damn well notice also the good that's going on. And so, like, I will never say that, whatever.
Sure.
And so, like, I'm not going to be extreme about what I say, but I can also acknowledge that there is a difference.
Yeah. No, I get it. What do you think about defund the police? Like that phrase or ACAB, that phrase, what do you think about that?
I think, we talked about this a little bit during Turning Point.
Yeah.
But the phrase defund the police is not really what it means. So when we say defund, people are like, the police is going to get no money. There's going to be no police. And, like, that's just it. Like, no money for the department.
Sure.
And that's not at all what it means. I think it means putting, like we said, I think our friend Molly said it very well, but like putting it into different areas. The money, putting it into more of education, putting it into mental health, like those, it's like, and that's the other thing with the power. Like if you put all your money into one power, then they're going to be, I think it's easy to abuse that power, and that's what's going on. And then, but you need to distribute it maybe not evenly, but you have to distribute it somehow.
You getting communist in here?
Sorry.
No.
You have to distribute it. And so that's again, like, I come from New York City, a very liberal place.
Yeah.
I come from 2 immigrant parents. Like, I think that's also, I'm still trying to like to understand what I really want and how I really see things. Cause it's funny sometimes so my boyfriend will be like, you just said some very conservative things.
Is that Hunter?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
is he conservative?
I wouldn't say he's conservative, but I think he definitely has more conservative views.
Okay.
But more economically, I think. But like not about like environment or like
that's the thing, most like young conservatives don't really care about that stuff. They have a pretty like libertarian agenda when it comes to things.
So what do you see about abortion, if you don't mind me asking?
I think that you should be able to have an abortion the exact time that you're able to. I have absolutely no education on the female reproductive system.
I don't think you need education to know that a woman has
no, absolutely, but I'm saying that you can't take a baby out of someone when they're 8 months pregnant.
Oh, no.
I don't know what the line is to be drawn there, but I think that
that doesn't
the state shouldn't have any.
That's what I'm saying is that the percentage of that is literally like 1%. or like
Yeah. What's the average time that you get an abortion? Do you know?
I think it's in the first 6.
First trimester.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Let's see.
So
Let's
I'm
search it
totally
on
cool with
Google.
first trimester abortion. Like that's on the road for me.
Let's see what it says.
Average. What would you type in?
I don't know. I just said average time that people get an abortion.
Honestly, okay.
Average week? I don't really know.
Yeah.
But anyways, I guess it's like, so yeah, like he has, I think, some those kinds of views, and I think it's because of also how he was raised as well. And because I think that's really easy too. Like a lot of my views come from my parents too. My dad like hates Paul. Like he is not one way or the other. Like my dad is pro-life, but he's like liberal on other things. But the reason he's pro-life is because of spiritualism, which is like, to me, I'm like, he literally said, he'll never hear this. He was like, in this house, there will be no abortions. And I go, that's not your decision to make. You know, because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, excuse me. And so it's just funny because
I think that's just his dad instincts talking more than anything else, honestly.
Well, yes, but also I know that it's because of spiritualism, because he wouldn't have said that before.
What does spiritualism mean? Do you mean religion?
Yeah. It's like being a spiritualist.
Yeah.
And so I think it's because there are like consequences. They believe there are consequences to having an abortion, basically.
For afterlife situations?
Yeah. So I think that's what it is.
Pesky afterlife.
So I don't understand, nor do I kind of want to, honestly. Yeah. But I'm like, that's fine. You can think what you want. Like, it doesn't really matter because ultimately your beliefs won't change someone else's actions sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, especially if, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like having that done is a very sensitive thing, and it's not something that you take lightly. It's not just, oh, I'm going to go have an abortion. Like, it's a serious topic, right? It's not just something that you just go do.
Sure.
Like, you really think about it, and you're like, can I really raise a child right now? Like, where did this child come from, firstly? Like, if it was from something.
Probably a dude. Crazy understanding.
Yes, but I mean, like, is it from, like, a one-night stand? Did someone, like, rape you? Did whatever? Yeah. Is it from your boyfriend? Are you guys 14 years old? Like, there are, like, a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And so I think that you obviously have to be very responsible with your actions because there can be very heavy consequences. And, of course, there's, like, the moral standpoint of it, too, that you have to, like, think about sometimes afterwards. Like, it's hard, I'm assuming, to go through that. You know?
I'm assuming too. I
I
wouldn't know.
Of course, me either.
There are very few
I'm just
on
gonna tell you
board
right
mother
now. I'm
instincts
gonna tell
for
you right
me.
now. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, still, it's like, it doesn't say that it's like you're not gonna probably be proud of having one, but it's also every woman has the right to choose what they want to do.
Yeah. Also, like, there's very utilitarian. Like, there's a very utilitarian argument in there where it's like bringing a kid into like whatever environment that you'd be bringing them into, if it wasn't really meant to be, it's probably not going to be great for the kid in the long run. Like, the statistics very much prove it. Not to say that people that choose not to get an abortion are doing the wrong thing, but from an empirical standpoint, from pretty much every aspect, the kid is disadvantaged. Stuff.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, sorry, I didn't even specify that if it's a single parent. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got that.
Oh, man, tough stuff. But no, I mean, you'll probably tell from me that asking me almost any question about government policies, I just come from a pretty libertarian perspective.
And libertarian, what is that? Like very central? Very neutral?
It's not even on the left and right spectrum. It's on the up-down spectrum. So.
Like moderation in a way.
Not quite. So I'm not sure what you mean by moderation exactly.
How. Like, you could say, like, I'm, okay, abortion, yeah, I agree, but, like, not during this time. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, no, that's...
I feel like that's, like, up, down, or being, like...
No, it's not quite. So, like, in politics, there's a left and right and an up and down, and so the left usually means more socially liberal things.
Yes.
Right is more socially conservative things. And it can also mean economically, but you can normally tell from the social aspect of it. And then up and down. Up is authoritarian and lower is libertarian. So libertarian means you want very little state control over what's going on.
Oh,
and
so like,
yeah.
Okay, so like less government.
Exactly,
control.
small government. Yeah, that's the point.
So
of that.
what is that on the left and right leaning then?
So that it doesn't have anything to do with left and right.
I feel like that has to do with a lot with like governmenting, like governmenting. Is that a word?
Well, I think we've been definitely like governmenting. We've been like kind of brainwashed into thinking there's only a left and right in political parties. So Democrat would be the left and Republican would be the right. But libertarian being another party, I voted libertarian. Not to say that I agree with all libertarian beliefs, but that's what I did.
Yeah, my brother did that 4 years ago.
Yeah,
he thought he was one.
Yeah, but it's on another spectrum. It's not a left or right. It's on the down.
Right.
We don't quite have a authoritarian party because that would be kind of not very American of us.
That's like very dictatorship.
Yeah,
right?
that would be like more like a communism kind of situation.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, which America historically is not very down with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but. Yeah, so it just means down. Small government is kind of the way I like to go. Although I am super down to like explore, I guess, economic options when it comes to like state-funded things. Like I'm a proponent of state-funded medicine.
Yeah.
I don't think that people should have to walk into a doctor's office and have to pay out of their own pocket to.
Yeah, I agree. Like
get their bone fixed.
And healthcare. Gosh.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues too.
Healthcare is so annoying. I've been dealing with that with the dentist, and I'm like the out-of-state stuff. Like, hello.
Also, if you don't have insurance, like the argument is like, oh, well, the money that you would be spending to put towards state-funded medicine should just be put into insurance. And the reality is that's not quite an equal game. If you have it state-funded, then it's coming from taxes, and then which means the rich people are paying if they're doing things responsibly, which they rarely do. And I understand that's an issue. They're not gonna, or they're gonna put in way more money than someone who's making like $15,000 a year.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
You know, it's funny. I saw this thing on TikTok because TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's very reliable.
Extremely.
So I don't know if you've heard, but so Grand Forks, I guess North Dakota, they're putting down their mask mandate. They're taking it away, and then Texas as well.
Florida Florida didn't really care ever.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
I have family in Florida. It's just they never started.
Yeah, but I guess by like now there is none. So like even if there was now it's not even like by choice. Like you don't even have to wear one. And so there are conservatives that say like, I think it's more ignorant conservatives, if I'm being honest. And I know smart conservatives.
Yeah, it's probably not the everyday conservative.
And so
it's like
they're
the crazy,
like,
kind of person.
And so they're like, well, if you're not comfortable with it, like just wear a mask. Like each person just has their own choice. Like they wear a mask, and whoever doesn't want to doesn't wear a mask. And like everyone just has their choice. Like blah blah blah. And then someone was like, okay, so then if you want to get an abortion, then it's your choice, and you go in. And if you don't, you don't. And it was just like back at it.
Wow,
and I was
that's actually
like,
really funny.
I was like, yeah, that's exactly true. I was like, you can't be making these arguments that are completely contradictory to what you believe in other scenarios. Do you know what I mean? Like it was so funny, and like I see those things on TikTok all the time. And I'm just like, okay, that's also good.
That there's like a very simple math equation to happen there too. Like apart from the I guess like libertarian perspective should be aligning.
Yeah.
There's also the like if you have a mask on and someone else in the room has a mask on, that's 2 times more safe than one person in the room having their mask on. So if you just scale that up to like to a town level, you can probably see how this might work out when it comes to numbers.
Yeah, so just wear a mask.
Wear a mask, people. Actually wear a mask. I was talking with this on Paige's radio show last night, and like there's so much of optics
Did
versus.
You guys talk about politics on her thing?
A little bit. It wasn't focused on politics at all.
Yeah.
But there's like there's an optics versus like what actual safety is. Like for example, I have beef with the dining room having like 6 feet apart dining.
And then their people are standing behind there serving us, not 6 feet apart.
Yes, that as well, but also 6 feet apart with masks off, and it could be anyone. It
I agree
can be
with
anyone.
that. I don't even think that's a law in Illinois that you have to be 6 feet apart if you have a mask on.
Wait, what are you saying? Sorry.
I'm pretty sure that it's Principia's rules. It's not the law. I'm pretty sure if
Yes,
you have
that's Principia's rule.
Yeah, if
all
you
I'm
have
saying,
no, I'm saying which is annoying.
Yeah. Well, it's annoying. Like, it's annoying, but it's also like not safe. So if you're really trying everything you can to not spread a virus, which everyone should have been doing, especially
it's not safe to be 6 feet apart.
It's not safe to be that close. No, it's really 10 feet apart. The CDC said this months ago.
Oh, what?
Yeah, but we don't listen to the CDC. that's my biggest problem. Like, for example, the quarantine was originally 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
CDC said actually 10 is pretty sufficient.
Yeah.
And we didn't listen. No one listens to that.
Yeah,
and
they
so
still
they
do
said
14 up in this joint.
Yeah, and so honestly, like if you were like maybe a foot back, we're probably like 5 feet apart, closer to that. If you were to just be 1 foot away and we take off our masks, if those particles are going straight to you, Vivi, like and we like if we're eating in the dining room, we're facing each other. So if we're really doing everything we can to not have COVID, we can't be having these weird rules. We got to be extremely safe if we're gonna actually put a cap on this thing. Like at the beginning of the pandemic, I thought, everyone's just gonna lock down. It's gonna be okay. We'll be out of this by like August at latest.
Well, that's what New Zealand did, right?
New Zealand has a much more controllable population.
Yeah.
America is made of a bunch of wild hippies.
Yeah, but like that was the issue, is that there was no authoritative person saying, everyone wear a mask, blah 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 blah.
Well, yeah, they totally closed down the state, which you can't really do with the U.S. and have the entire population survive. It's a lot like from a food perspective and from from just a general imports perspective. Like, we were already worried about like toilet paper going out, right? Toilet paper for the majority does not come from the U.S.
Yeah.
And so a lot of our food also doesn't come from the U.S. And so we got to think about so U.S. like scaled up. It doesn't. I don't think it would work as effectively. We can't really just close down the U.S. completely. New Zealand, they did a great job given their resources. Yeah. What'd you say?
Having fun, living life. Here we are.
It'd be nice. It's gonna be nice. I'm very excited to party, have fun, hug people, kiss my friends. You know how?
Yeah.
No, but it'll be nice. Just not yet. But if we want to get there, we do one of two things. We do one of two things. We either wait for the virus to come out, or we just super lock down. One is much faster than the other.
You wait for the virus to come out?
Yeah, not the virus. Wow, that was a weird way of saying it. The vaccine
it's already out.
It's out, but it's not being administered to like a large portion of the population yet.
Okay, but also it's so easy to worm your way in there. My dad has none of the requirements, and he already got his vaccine.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Are you gonna get it?
I don't know. I think it's so. I've thought about it. And I don't think I would get it because of, I guess, through a Christian Science perspective. Like, I wouldn't get it to feel protected. I would get it if it meant I would have more liberty and freedom to do things and settle people.
Wouldn't that be because you were protected?
No, I mean, like, if they're like, well, you're not allowed to go into this concert if you don't have the vaccine.
How do you prove that? Why don't you just say, yes, I had the vaccine?
Okay, but like, then they're the idiots that do that. Like, what if you have to have like that little sheet that they give when you get it? Like that time card or whatever.
I don't know how that works yet.
So I'm saying like, and flying to Brazil, like if they're like flying international, I'm just saying like if you get more perks from having it and you get more freedoms, then I would do it. Not because I've ever felt like I was at risk to begin with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I know where my safety comes from.
Yeah, I think I'm coming from a pretty similar situation. Yeah. I'm not at all worried. Like, give me the virus, guys. Come on, let me cough that baby out. I'm not really worried about that situation. But yeah, if it's stopping me from doing anything, I'll get it. But it's just, I don't think I need it.
Yeah,
it's just not.
I mean, I don't think I needed it either.
Yeah. The only argument would be like, well, then it makes it so that you can't spread it to other people. But I think by the time it would get to our age bracket, we'd already be seeing some serious like
And there are a lot
downfall,
of people.
like
And
herd
people would
immunity situation.
Exactly. Like people would already have the vaccines, and then who would we be starting it to begin with?
Yeah. So
in a way.
herd immunity, I think, starts kicking in once like
Yeah.
50% of the population is vaccinated. And so
Yeah.
obviously we just keep on cutting it
Yeah.
down from there.
But also, like, that's the problem, I think, though, with our generation is that we take it lightly, though. And we're being like, oh, who cares if I go out and get the virus? I'll be fine. But the problem is that who else can you infect?
Yeah.
Like, it's loving your neighbor.
I think education right now on that is pretty good. I think most people know that if they go out, they're really not being a risk themselves. It's to other people.
It's ridiculous.
yeah.
I'm just like, can you, like, are you that selfish? Like, can't you just wait a few more weeks or months in order, like, come on. Like, do you know what I mean?
I don't think Americans, I honestly don't think we can.
Americans are selfish. Sorry.
I think Americans, like, I don't have much experience with the rest of the world, but I don't think we can really be cooped up. I think we're to ourselves. If the government tells us to do something, we're not always going to do it. Like, that's just kind of the mindset.
Like, it's not about us. Like, it's about our country. It's about people. It's not about me. Like, your actions affect other people, and I think that's what we've been learning. I think
if those weak people die, it's their fault.
Oh my God,
that's I've heard that before. I've like, not with my ears, but I've seen the videos. Just like, oh boy,
whoever says that,
yeah,
deserves something.
Ooh, something.
And it's not.
You gonna give him something, Vivi? Well,
oh my God, I don't like that. Why do people say that? Come on, just come from a loving heart.
I know.
Just
love is the best way to.
Just wear a mask, guys.
Just wear a mask, guys.
Come on.
There's a PSA from Vivi, guys. Wear a mask.
I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes my mask gets like this under my nose.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got worried. I got annoyed at this because of rugby. Like, in rugby, we have to have our masks on, but those are not going to stay on. We're running around and sliding on the ground.
I don't wear my mask during sports.
Yeah, but I don't think you should. That's the thing. Like, if your mask is going to slide down, and you're going to be just as vulnerable close to someone as you would be without a mask. So just take off the mask. It's okay. Like, we have already understood with a dining room that we don't really care about actually quarantining this as hard as possible. We just look like we are.
And the cohort thing doesn't make sense. Like,
what do you mean?
I love that we don't have to wear masks.
What's a cohort thing?
Do you know what a cohort is?
Yeah, but like, what's
our houses? We're cohorts.
Oh.
Apparently, but we're not because we see other people all the time.
No, dude.
The reason why they do that, I understand, is because they think we're wearing masks 24/7. Everyone else.
They don't think that.
So, but that's what I'm saying.
They need to tell the health officials that that's what we're doing. So it's for optics. It's to tell the government, like, hey, what's going on?
And that's what I'm saying is that, like, they're like, okay, like, this house, like, Joe, you're a cohort, right? But then you don't have to wear your masks in your house, okay? So where is everyone else going? It's not a cohort because we're all leaving all the time, and we're going out to this place, and we're eating at restaurants, and we're going to the dining room. We take off our masks to eat, and we go to sports. And I know how we don't wear masks during sports. Like, come on.
And then you go back to your friend's room in SIL, like my situation, and
come on, you're telling me, I'm sorry, student life and administration, you're telling me that you think that people wear their masks in their friends' rooms?
0% of people do that.
Like,
0% of people do that. But they know that. I'm not telling them anything new. If they're listening right now, I'm not telling them anything new. They know what's going on.
Yeah, I think they're aware of it. I mean, obviously they're smart.
They have to be if they're not dumb. So we just need to figure out, like, are we doing this for other people, like, be able to write that check for the bureaucratic situation, or are we gonna actually treat this like we care?
I just wish things made more sense, you know. And I feel like when we want to ask questions, we look like we're disrespectful when we ask questions.
I don't think so.
But a lot of us feel that way. It's the issue.
Really?
Like, yeah, a lot of us.
Do you feel that way when you ask questions?
100%. Do you know why? It's because if you're in the boat of you did a no-no and you messed up and you got 2 strikes and you left campus, that was me last semester.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Then you come back and it's just like not like, well, first of all, I feel like I'm being watched like a little hawk.
I have friends that also feel the same way.
So the other thing is that, like, I want to ask questions, and I have, but then I just they come back at me, basically like in a belittling way.
You're gonna have to give me a after the show. You gotta give me some example
Do you
here.
know what I mean? It's like passive aggressive, and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just like, let your students ask questions. Like, we don't want to be confused.
Sure.
Because half of us are so confused about the rules and how you don't have to wear a mask and to work out in hay, but you have to wear one in Crafton to work out.
There it is. It's that kind of stuff.
Like, and it's not being rude and it's not being disrespectful. I just don't understand. That's it. I love Principia. I love you all, but I just don't understand sometimes. Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Viviane de Castro, thanks for talking with me. It's been really fun.
So much.
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God, is that even allowed? See, we just broke the rules.
Oh my God, we just broke the rules. We touched hands. Cuties.
Okay.
Yeah, if anyone wants to see this episode, I'm going to be posting on YouTube. I'm going to have like a huge YouTube dump soon because I'm behind on posting.
Oh my God, I'm scared. I don't know if I want to see this.
That's okay. Dude, no one's watching this. Yeah, so if you want to watch this, go on YouTube under Christian Blaney's Cockpit. And everyone, have a great day. Tell you love at least one other person.
Wait, watch my YouTube too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Viviane, give yourself a shout out.
Okay, my YouTube is Vivi de Castro. And I am a YouTuber.
And you are what?
I said that I'm a YouTuber.
And she's a YouTuber.
No, guys, I do it for fun. Yeah.
Well, cool. All right, check out Vivi's channel, Vivi in the City.
No, that's my TikTok.
That's your TikTok.
But I mean, if you want to check out my TikTok.
Someone said that before. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Vivi de Castro is my YouTube.
All right, sounds good. Well, peace out, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.